How's it going, everybody? It is Trey here. I'm joined again by my dad, Sean, and today, Reactions to the Classics, we're going to be taking a look at Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers' debut album. I know Free Fallin', but I didn't know any of the songs on this record.
Yeah, and I know some Petty. I was 5 years old when this album came out, so it predates me, but as he gets into the later stuff, I know that stuff. I'm a fan of Petty, so I was looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and if this is your first time stopping by the channel, y'all, we really appreciate it. Here at Reactions to the Classics, we take a look back at some of the most classic albums of all time and do a detailed track-by-track review of them, and just like today, it is usually the first time we've heard the record. So if that sounds like something interesting to you, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button, and if you'd like to link up with us more, you can check us out at Facebook and our Patreon down below if you'd like to support us and get some perks yourself. But all that to say, let's dive into these quick facts.
Trey, as you already mentioned, this is their debut album. It was recorded in November of 1976 at Shelter Studio in Hollywood, California. The Heartbreakers was formed by Tom Petty. He was the lead guitarist and vocalist in 1976, same year as they do this debut. The lead guitarist is Mike Campbell. The bass player was Blair, and Lynch did the drums. And the great Benmont Tench did keyboards, one of the greatest names in music. Initially, following its release, the album received little attention in the US, Trey, but what happened?
Yeah, they went on a British tour. It climbed all the way up to 24 in the UK, had a successful single in Anything That's Rock and Roll, and then after nearly an entire year and many positive reviews and buzz, the album ended up reaching the United States charts and eventually even went gold.
Well, Trey, all tracks on here were written by Petty. This first track, Rockin Around with You, was actually written with Mike Campbell, the lead guitarist, writing about this girl, and he tells her, why be lonely when you have me here?
The start of it was actually 3 seconds of silence,
yes,
and then it kind of goes into a little distorted guitar almost, kind of reminded me of a radio-friendly unit shifter by Nirvana just a bit, and I thought the drum work here was fantastic. You could see some influence that Jet's famous song in the mid-2000s, Are You Gonna Be My Girl? It almost sounded like this a little. I wouldn't be surprised if they took some influence from Petty and the Heartbreakers here. So I thought it was a great way to open the record off.
Yeah, it's a fun track. It's only 9 lines. I don't think it needs to be any more. It's definitely some musical experimentation, as you mentioned. For me, it was a great way to start to head into the second track, which was his first hit ever, Breakdown. Their first single was actually the breakout single. It's top 40 in the US and Canada. What helped propel it was featured on the soundtrack to a movie in 1978 called FM that has a ton of major artists on there. It's a double album. That really helped kind of ramp them up. It was a hit in the UK, as you can well imagine, since they were kind of over there. It most likely is just about he wants her to break down and have sex with him. The strange part about the song, it's my second favorite track on here.
Mine too.
There's kind of a weird accent. I don't know how to explain it. Like Tom is singing and I don't know what it is.
He doesn't finish some of his words.
It's one of those things. I think trying to find yourself on your debut in the studio kind of lends to that. It works though. I really do like the song.
Oh yeah, in the middle, like it's all quiet leading up, and then in the middle it really does just break down, gets all the music pumping and going. This, like you, was my second favorite track. I thought this A-side was very strong, and this was the strongest song on that side. And then we get into another very solid track in track 3 with Hometown Blues. Petty runs down a list of characters who just try to get out of their situation, but at the end of the day they're met with the same line: don't really matter if she don't or if she do, just trying to make the best of the hometown blues.
Yeah, for me, Trey, I really like this song. I think it kind of is about, you know, you come from a hometown, usually a small town. Everybody's trying to get out, but usually they end up back or they end up never getting out. I think on this, the chorus of it's nice. The Heartbreakers join in, kind of pumps up Tom's voice a little bit, and it just kind of has this party feel almost to it.
Every musician in the band is pretty solid, top notch. I was very impressed by them, since I'm not really familiar with the Heartbreaker side of it. I'm more just with Tom Petty, but I think they displayed some definite musical chops here. The Wilds one, Forever, is up next, and here people are telling him to stay away from this girl. He only saw her for a few hours, but he doesn't have any regrets pursuing her.
Yeah, it must have been a memorable few hours. This song takes it down. It's a lower key song. The instrumentation is really good. Benmont's keyboards at the start stand out for me. Tom's voice is different in this one, definitely, than the previous track. But Yeah, just a different feel to side A on this song, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it has that chilled out vibe to it. Petty, I wouldn't say is like a drop dead amazing vocalist, but he has a unique voice.
Yes, and that helps you tremendously in this business.
Exactly. I'd rather have somebody be unique and like convey emotion, so I feel something, as opposed to being able to hit every high or low note.
I agree.
So I think that was on display here, and we're only 4 tracks in, and we've already had a nice array of differing musical styles.
Next up is Anything That's Rock and Roll. You mentioned in the beginning it was a hit in the UK, went to number 36 there. They actually got to play it on the iconic Top of the Pops, which really helped put him over. Basically about staying up all night listening to rock and roll. Then he quit his job, told his girl to come with him. She doesn't need school, Trey, or her parents, just rock and roll. I will say this, for those of you who were children of the 80s like myself, some of us are still out there alive. The opening guitar riff sounds just like Once Bitten, Twice Shy by the group Great White from the early 80s. So if you're familiar with that, when you listen to this, see if I'm crazy. I don't think I am, but I like this song. The instrumentation's great. I can't really understand much of what Tom's saying. I know what he's saying because I studied the lyrics, but still a good way to sit inside A.
Yeah, it was a good track. I'm going to have to listen to that track you mentioned because this gave me a big Rolling Stones vibe, actually.
Okay, I like that too. Music, a little better than Great White, but yeah.
Almost had a Street Fighting Man type of vibe. I'm with you. Great track to inside A.
We're going to start off side B with Stranger in the Night, which is about a real-life fight that Tom witnessed in a parking lot of a bar between a black man and a white man who had just played pool. The lyrics tell a great story. Starts out with a little fuzzy wah-wah on the guitar. Great instrumentation, guitar work all the way throughout this track. Doesn't turn out real well for the white man. He gets his head blown off. The black man apparently got stabbed first, though, when you read the lyrics. So went to just a huge, serious side of things to start side B.
Yeah, this was a standout track for me as well because of just the story it told. It kind of kept you on the edge of your seat.
It did. I didn't expect it to turn out that way, but hey, that's real life.
So that was a hit for me. Fooled Again, I Don't Like It is our next track. Here, Petty calls up his girl, but a guy answers and says, hey, don't call again.
That's always problematic, Trey.
Just a bit, and apparently this has happened before.
I know, Tom can't catch a break, man.
And here, again, you get into that vocal style, probably more pronounced than anywhere else on...
Or unpronounced.
Yeah, exactly, on the record, because he's very strained, almost sounds like he has, I don't know, maybe a mouthful of food in his mouth. And
it does.
And he's talking. I still dug kind of the vibe of the track. It's more middle of the road for me, though, than some of these others.
It is for me, too. I mean, I like the lyricism on it. It tells a good story. And I mean, the moral of the story, boys, not boys and girls, but boys, watch out for them women, man, because they will fool you not once, but again. And that moves us on to our next track, Mystery Man. Much more chilled out song. The guitar work is excellent throughout the song, kind of drives the track. Tom wants to hook up with her. He wants to be her mystery man. One of my favorites on side B.
I'd agree with that. I think that this was a clearer, one of the more standout vocal performances, as you touched on there a little bit, and that nice chilled out vibe will kind of help prepare us for the next couple songs.
Yeah, the next song's Luna, and it's quite different than anything else. I'll tell a quick story how this happens. Tom and the Heartbreakers are with Shelter Records. They had a studio in LA, studio in Oklahoma. The guys that owned it split from each other, so the guy in LA told the recording engineers, go to Oklahoma, get my equipment. Well, since they were going to Oklahoma anyway, they call up Tom and say, hey man, why don't you come down here? You can record a song for free because we got to clear out the studio. There's no one here. So Tom just brings Stan Lynch, the drummer from the Heartbreakers. They go into the studio. Tom has nothing written. He gets on the organ that's in there, and you're going to hear in the song, it's just a different kind of deal. He pops out this song, which for me is the least favorite song on here. It's not horrible, but it's vastly different. And I mean, when you understand the story, he was put on the spot, man, and he's not even giving his instrument a choice of guitar. Here you go, bro. Here's an organ and some drums. Let's see what you can do.
This was also my least favorite as well. Thought there was something off with it, and
I think what's off about it. It didn't fit with the theme.
I think without the guitar presence in there you're used to, which I'm all for experimentation and going and broadening the musical scope, but here I just think it missed the mark. But that didn't miss the mark for our last track, American Girl. It's not often where an album will finish the record with the best song on the
that's
album.
True. Very good point.
But here, I definitely think that's the case.
Yeah, this thing's iconic, and it never even was a hit. I became familiar with the song. Obviously, I told you I was 5 years old when this thing came out. It's in a ton of movies, and it's just an iconic, no pun intended, American song.
Yeah, this was written by Petty around the time he and the Heartbreakers first signed their recording contract. That was recorded on the 4th of July in 1976.
Yeah, and despite the limited chart success, it became one of his most popular songs, as I already mentioned, a staple of classic rock. It's consistently been rated as his best song and one of the best rock songs of all time.
And just a little trivia note, this was actually the last song that Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers ever performed in 2017. Of course, later in October, Tom Petty unfortunately passed away. But, you know, this is probably one of the, you know, handful of songs he would have wanted to go out with.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's kind of appropriate. You know, there's a lot of talk about what these lyrics are about. Some people think it's about actually attempted suicide in Florida off the railing of this dorm room and all this stuff. Tom said he doesn't even know why he wrote it. He said he was living in Encino, California at the time, laid the track down, and for me, it's obviously just to stand out on this whole album and be the standout on almost any album.
Oh, absolutely. I'm right there with you. I had never heard it before, so hearing it with fresh ears was a joyous experience, and I'm looking forward to more Petty in the future, and I guess that'll transition us into our favorite tracks, of course, American Girl, Breakdown. I also like Stranger Than the Night.
Yeah, we're going to go with American Girl, Breakdown, and Mystery Man. So that brings us to our overall rating for the record. For me, I'm going to give it a 7.5. Look, American Girl is great. Breakdown is up there. The rest of the songs, nothing stand out about them. Nothing's bad on them at all. I dig Petty. So the first time I heard this thing, I liked it. I liked it all. I mean, it's like, it's Petty. It's comfort for me. I enjoy it. So he has better offerings out there because I am familiar with some of the other songs that are out there. We're going to get into the rest of his catalog. So for me, a very solid debut at a 7.5.
I'm going to be right there with you, 7.5. I mean, if you look up a good album, I think
rock and roll album.
Yeah, this is what's gonna pop up.
That's it.
So I was very impressed. Solid record for sure. We would like to hear your thoughts. Let us know in the comments below what you think of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers debut record, and we will be sure to move on probably to Damn the Torpedoes next. I know that's a pretty highly acclaimed record from their catalog, so appreciate the research as always, Dad. And if you enjoyed this, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button. We upload twice a week in a variety of genres, and thank you all for watching. Happy listening, my friends, and we will see you next time.